there's a lot of enthusiasm in Houston generally about the opportunities around the energy transition. I think people are starting to understand that it's not a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean that we have to give up something to build something new and exciting. And there's just fantastic opportunity around it. So yeah, there is good excitement, and there should be.
There should be. And you mentioned that people around the world or outside of Houston don't know as much about the amount of just broader energy initiative going on here. And to be honest, I'm not sure. I mean, I live here and I'm in the middle of it, and I probably don't even know what all is going on because there's a lot.
Yeah, one interesting fact, for example, would be that there is more energy transition related research, true R&D research that happens in Greater Houston, Texas than in any other part of the world. I mean, Shell alone has $1 billion a year annual R&D budget, of which approximately half goes to all things energy transition. Our universities are active in it. All of our big companies are active. It's a big part of our economy.
So you said something out there a minute ago that caught my ear because it's a much more concise way of saying something that I've been saying for a while. And you said this big problem won't get solved without us. Right. And there's a lot of great minds and a lot of talent and skills that I feel like, you know, the engineering and the science and everything else, and even beyond that, logistics and how to solve the distribution problems. So how do you see the talents and the skills of those people coming to bear on
We believe they're
problem?
highly transferable. Highly transferable. You know, what energy systems are about are bringing technologies to scale, right? And the challenge isn't necessarily creating the new technology. The challenge is putting it to work at scale. And that's what we know how to do here in Houston, Texas, right? If you want to do a big, complicated engineering project in a faraway place involving thousands and thousands of people and difficult science and engineering, the intellectual capital of that is right here. And that's just as much a part of the energy transition world as it is a part of the incumbent oil and gas world. So we have it. We have more chemical engineers per capita than any other major metro in America, more engineers in general per capita than any other major metro in America. We have a great workforce. We have fantastic universities in our region who are contributing to this. We have all the pieces in place to be a leader. And we are a leader, but we really need to put our shoulder behind the wheel together, make sure we are talking to each other, connecting the dots, and having the world better understand that this is where the greatest challenges are going to be met. And look, we need the old school incumbent oil and gas companies to keep doing what they're doing, right?
That's for sure,
You know, it is really, really important that we meet that first part of this dual challenge, which is providing reliable, affordable, and secure energy to the world today. We've got to do that. And the consequences of not doing it are terrible. And so a lot of these companies are going to keep doing what they're doing. We need them to do it more cleanly, right? Lower their own carbon footprint, electrify their operations where they can, lower methane gas emissions, stop flaring,
Which they're actually doing.
And they are absolutely, I do not know a company that is not committed to that. And then we have a lot of other companies who are allocating some of their capital budget to new stuff. Typically, it's new stuff that would be, you know, adjacent to what they're doing. So it might be hydrogen or carbon capture or biofuels. And then we have a whole set of other companies that are doing 100% new stuff. Right? And renewable natural gas or offshore wind turbine installation. Or Cemvita factory doing, you know, bioengineering, biofuels. There's just a lot of great stuff happening like that, and an explosion of activity. I think it's important that capital providers around the world understand that explosion of activity here, because we want them here. This is an industry that requires a ton of money. And so we need the capital providers in Houston working with us on this.
That's well, I think you made your point about how not too long ago maybe there was sort of a rift.
You know, I think part of the reason there was a rift is that people who come from the traditional oil and gas business felt like they were not appreciated and respected for what they did.
Yeah,
right?
There you go.
And people did treat it as if they were selling cigarettes to children. No, you are the problem. You are ruining the world.
Right.
And their view is, no, we are keeping the world going, right? We are taking people out of poverty. I think what has happened in the world in the last 6 months, sometimes it takes really bad stuff to make a point. And in this case, the bad stuff was the war in the Ukraine and what happened to energy systems in Europe. And the world has a better appreciation now that, in fact, our challenge is a dual challenge. We have to provide reliable, affordable, and secure energy today, and at the same time, we have to dramatically drive down CO2 emissions. If we just needed to do one of those two things and not the other, it wouldn't be that complicated. But we have to do both of them.
Have to do both. Right.
And because the world better appreciates that now, I think people who come from the incumbent oil and gas world no longer feel so disrespected.
It's true, the attitudes are changing.
Well, I also think that the traditional oil and gas community has moved on this.
Yeah.
Right? I think there is a more fulsome appreciation that the challenges of climate change are really real challenges.
Yeah.
And I think people generally feel different about that today than they did 2 years ago or 4 years ago. So I think movement has come honestly in both directions, and that's a healthy thing. But once again, the problem's not going to be solved without us, right?
Yeah.
We are the energy capital of the world for a reason. It's not a mistake, right? This is where the intellectual power for the industry sits. And that needs to be applied to both of these challenges. And it currently is, and it's an exciting time.
About 2 years ago, the Greater Houston Partnership launched the HETI initiative, which is really about bringing together our incumbent energy industry leadership in Houston.
Incumbent energy.
Yes.
I
Traditional
like
energy, incumbent energy, to really think about how do we position Houston to take advantage of the opportunities that the energy transition presents. And so we've brought together 23 of some of the biggest energy players in the region that are based here in Houston to work on those areas of energy transition where we think Houston can really have a competitive advantage. So technologies like carbon capture, use and storage, clean hydrogen development, industrial decarbonization, all of those areas are areas where we believe that the incumbent energy industry really has strong leadership and can lead the way around the globe to that low carbon future while still providing affordable, reliable energy.
Yeah. So when you say broadly, we feel like the incumbent leaders can kind of take a prominent role in leading. When you go down a level below that, like what kind of specific capabilities or like when you look at the incumbent at the oil and gas leaders, what are the jewels in there that you say, you really need your help in this way?
Yeah, I think there's a number of different ways, but I think the reality is we can't afford to rip out an entire energy system and replace it with something new.
That's for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so figuring out how to integrate new energy solutions into our existing energy system is critical to our success in achieving our low carbon goals while also providing affordable and reliable energy.
The integration thing is something people don't talk about a whole lot. They talk about it almost like it's two different things, and we're ramping up this one and we're
going to shut down the other one.
Yeah,
and the reality is,
so what is that like?
You have to figure out a way to make all of these things work together. So whether you're talking about renewables, energy storage, carbon capture, clean hydrogen, how will you integrate these new solutions into our existing system? And I think one thing that this industry does really well is figure out how to integrate new energy, new solutions. They've done it with shale, they've done it with natural gas, they've done it with a number of different energy solutions. And so, and you've got a lot of capability from the traditional energy sector. So if you were a geologist looking for oil, now you are a geologist looking for places to store CO2, or you're doing geothermal. And so there's a lot of transferability of those skill sets. I was up at Texas A&M a few months ago talking to the petroleum engineering students, and I said, it's the most exciting time to be coming into this industry. I mean, in my mind, of the last 50 years, because you will be figuring out how to do all the new stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so I think it's a really exciting time. They will see this evolution of the industry in a way that probably no other generation will have seen.
No, yeah. I mean, it probably, not since the oil industry first transformed everything, right? Early 1900s, everything changed. And most people don't probably, the average person doesn't have a great understanding of how
the distribution of energy.
How we go from from the wellhead to your gas tank or your light switch, right? Neither does everybody really need to understand that. But you're right. It's a completely different set of problems to solve to go from a frac pad on the Permian to get that into your gas tank versus something offshore versus even natural gas versus
think about
in Canada,
drilling wells
at
oil 2 miles.
Sands.
Drilling wells at 2 miles beneath the sea floor. I mean, those are things that until you learn how to do them and until you figure, integrating that in requires a skill set and a capability set. So, so I often tell people that I think, Houston is the energy capital of the world. And that's why when we talked to Gow Media about this site, the idea of EnergyCapitalHTX was, let's just own the fact that we are the energy capital of the world. And we will continue to be as we transition to a lower carbon future. And so it's a really exciting time to be in Houston and a really exciting time to be in energy.